Have you ever wondered if one person could conquer an entire continent? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but history is filled with ambitious rulers who've tried to do just that. Today we're diving into the story of one such king, a figure whose name echoed across lands and whose ambition knew no bounds. This isn't just a tale of battles and strategy. It's a story about charisma, innovation, and the sheer force of will that can reshape the world. So, who was this legendary monarch? Let's call him King Arion. He wasn't born into a massive empire. In fact, he inherited a small, rather insignificant kingdom, squeezed between larger, more powerful neighbors. No one expected much from him, but Arion had a vision that stretched far beyond his humble borders. He saw a fragmented continent ripe for unification, and he believed he was the one destined to bring it all under a single banner. His journey started not with a sword, but with a pen. Arion was a master of diplomacy. He spent his early years forging alliances, marrying into influential families, making promises of prosperity and security. He didn't just demand loyalty, he earned it. He would travel to neighboring lands, not as a conqueror, but as a friend, learning their customs, speaking their languages, and understanding their needs. This approach was revolutionary. While other rulers relied on fear, Arion built a network of allies who genuinely believed in his cause. But diplomacy alone doesn't conquer a continent. Arion knew he needed an army unlike any other. He reformed his military from the ground up. Instead of a rigid traditional force, he created a flexible, merit-based army. It didn't matter if you were a nobleman or a farmer's son. If you had skill and courage, you could rise through the ranks. He invested heavily in new technologies, like advanced siege engines and lighter, more durable armor. His soldiers were not just well-equipped, they were well-trained and fiercely loyal, fighting for a king they respected. With his diplomatic network and his reformed army, Arion began his campaign. But he rarely opted for a full frontal assault. His strategy was a masterclass in psychological warfare. He would often send envoys ahead of his army, offering generous terms of surrender. "Join my empire," he'd say, "and you will have peace, trade, and protection. Your culture and traditions will be respected. Resist, and you will face the most disciplined army this land has ever seen." Many city-states and smaller kingdoms, seeing the strength of his forces and the fairness of his offers, chose to join him without a single drop of blood being spilled. Of course, not everyone surrendered peacefully. There were powerful rivals who saw Arion as a threat. And this is where his military genius truly shone. He was a brilliant tactician, known for using the terrain to his advantage and employing surprise attacks that left his enemies bewildered. One of his most famous victories came at the Battle of the Whispering Valley. He was outnumbered 3-1, facing a coalition of defiant lords. Instead of meeting them on the open field, he lured them into a narrow canyon. He had his engineers work for weeks to create a series of hidden rock slides. At the perfect moment, his troops triggered the traps, decimating the enemy's vanguard and causing mass chaos. Arion's army then swept in, securing a legendary victory that shattered the resistance. As his empire expanded, Arion faced a new challenge: how to govern such a vast and diverse territory. He knew that brute force would only lead to rebellion. So he established a system of governance that was both centralized and inclusive. He built roads and trade routes that connected the farthest corners of the continent, fostering economic growth and cultural exchange. He standardized laws and currency, making life easier for everyone. But he also allowed local governors to maintain their regional customs and traditions, creating a sense of shared identity without erasing local cultures. He built libraries, sponsored artists, and encouraged scientific inquiry, turning his empire into a beacon of progress. In just a few decades, King Arion achieved the impossible. He had taken a small, overlooked kingdom and transformed it into a continental empire, not just through conquest, but through vision, diplomacy, and a deep understanding of human nature. His story teaches us that true power isn't just about military might. It's about the ability to inspire people, to unite them under a common purpose, and to build something that lasts long after the battles are over. What do you think was the most crucial factor in his success? Was it his diplomacy, his military innovation, or his enlightened governance? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories like this. See you next time.